And the life from that old lighthouse. Giving it up to you, man.
Amen. That's a good way to start. Well, hello, Ty Herndon.
How you doing, Levi?
I can't believe I'm seeing you for the first time in how long?
It's been a minute. It's
Years.
been a hot minute.
Yeah. Thank you for doing this.
You don't look different. You look the same. So.
Well, good. I haven't invested in surgery yet, so
You've been using some
good
cold creams.
Thank you.
You've been using some good cold creams.
Thank you. You're
How many
looking
times did
back
your
by
grandma
yourself.
say that? I've been using some.
Oh, and she could use the
Was it
cold cream,
Pond's?
too. That's yeah. It was.
This is
Well,
so fun.
it is.
See, you the Southern boys here. We grew up kind of the same.
You from Mississippi?
Mississippi, Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah, the only reason Mississippi was thrown in there is because it was the closest hospital to Butler, Alabama. Quite honestly, I was almost born in the hood of my dad's pickup. Not on the hood, but that was really nice. In my dad's pickup.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Well,
crazy.
I want to go back to when our paths first crossed, first of all. So there's a little theater called the Zephyr Theater. A friend of mine, Del Shores, had a play called Southern Baptist Sissies.
Yes.
Way back when I first moved to Los Angeles, from Oliver Springs, Tennessee, graduating class of 5 people. I was valedictorian with a C average.
What?
Yeah, true.
That's a great story.
It is. It's true. But
my mom used to say, it's a good thing that boy can sing.
That's all I can do. I kind of fell into the arms of Mr. Del Shores and a Leslie Jordan to, Leslie's Chattanooga,
Yes.
Tennessee. But I just was pulled off the street one day into Southern Baptist Sissies and saw this play that told me a lot about myself, somebody who grew up having a love for the Lord, but feeling at the same time that I had learned to hate myself in this holy place that I learned I was an abomination to God, and was in the fetal position by halftime. And couldn't pull myself together. Left and was very much changed. I talked to Dale afterwards. And
From seeing the play, just to be clear, you were watching. You weren't in it.
I was watching the
Yes.
play. Yes. Yeah. First month in LA.
Wow.
So I ended up writing a song.
I
That
don't
was
know that I knew that
inspired.
story, that part of the story. So
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh well. It was just a few months after I started singing with Southern Baptist Sissies
Right.
that you saw the same play, right?
I did.
Tell me about that.
Yes. Oh, I didn't know much about it. I just knew Leslie Jordan and I knew Del Shores, and I had some mutual friends with those guys, and one being Leanne Rhymes. And Leanne and I have such history as friends over the years as well. But I think we ended up in the building at the same time to see the show.
Did you bring her to the show? Did you guys come?
I might have. It might have been that we came together. Yes.
I feel like
we did.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, we'll have to ask her. Her memory's better than mine.
Well, I remember nonetheless that she came up to me
Yes.
afterwards and had some wonderful things to say to me personally, and I've come to find out you were nowhere to be found after the show because you were having your own
Meltdown.
Tell me about it.
Absolutely. Well, I grew up with this little thing called the Holy Spirit in the Pentecostal/Baptist churches of South Alabama. And so the way that kind of spirit moves through, I'm so grateful that I identify with it again today, because I've been able to redefine it so that it fits my Holy Spirit within myself. And, I can stand in my kitchen and have worship and do it in my way. But I wasn't real clear on how to navigate those waters back then. And I just knew that, I think you sang a song called Stained Glass Window.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in a moment. But I couldn't believe that I was so overwhelmed with that story, and where I was in my life, hiding the fact that I was gay and trying to have, at that point, I had had some success in country music, and it broke my heart. And at the same time, I could not believe that I was so emotionally touched and moved by a presentation of words and songs that I so crazily identified with because so much of it was funny at the same time.
Yeah.
Let's face it. What we grew up with, some of our Southern humor is pretty funny. You know,
well, and often it's the only way you survive.
It is the way you survive. Yes, and so the fact that I could laugh and then turn around and just have to, I think I walked out at intermission and was like, I don't know if I could think of again for this, but that little evening was an imprint, and I went back. I think I saw the show in LA when you were in it probably 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
So I would sometimes just sneak in. I don't know if you knew that. So
no, but Dale let me do the same thing. After I talked to him when I first saw it, he said you can come back as many times as you need to get through the pain of the past, and I counted 36 times.
36
that
times.
I went back and just made myself look at that because I had no idea there were other people like me.
Right.
At the time.
It's a very big statement. Yes, because we become so isolated within ourselves that we can't really feel anything but our own pain. And I did a lot of work around that in meditation and survival instinct. But yeah, I became so isolated and lost in my little spirit that it almost took my life through depression, addiction, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's some stuff we'll get into in a moment as well. But what I'm most grateful for my whole story with all that, and I think probably you're going to find that as you launch into this new wonderful project that you're doing, and I love this idea so much, is the fact that you get to write and sing about. I know you've been doing that already, but you might be able to dive into some rooms and open some doors that you were afraid of in the past. And I wish that for you, because I just did that with the House on Fire album.
Which is a fantastic album, by the way.
Thank you. That was a shameless plug. Yeah,
we had just moved into our new place in Tennessee last January, and somewhere around February or March. I'm not sure exactly when it came out, but I know I caught it shortly after it came out, and it was just, since right about now was like the last album that I wore out. House on Fire just picked up right where I left off. It's a really great album.
Well, you and I are not so different in our singing because we have a spirit about us that we couldn't get rid of if we tried.
Mama always called it the tear in their voice.
The tear in their voice.
Tear in the voice.
I love that. You may have to write that. I may have to sing it with you. But there's a moment that I always like to say, for those of us who can come out on the other side and feel whole and alive, and spiritual, that we really have a lot to say that's important. I never thought that I had that much to say that was important, because that was still my spirit that was so broken and in the fetal position. But the more that man grows in that spirit, that man or woman in you, that grown up, and you have
that boldness.
That boldness is a nice word. You have a responsibility for all those. I always like to say the young kids that we go and speak to so much, but there's also that 75-year-old man or woman.
Oh,
It's never too late to set yourself free.
It's the sweetest thing is being able to meet some of those 60-somethings who have been married. They've watched their kids grow, their grandkids grow, and they have fallen in love for the first time with someone that they never thought they'd actually have the freedom to fall in love with.
Absolutely.
And it's just
We're talking a lot about our grandmothers today, because we probably had somewhat the same grandmother. Our mama, as we call it in the South, but she says, she always used to say, the heart doesn't really age. It can fall in love at any age. It can be broken at any age.
That's nice.
Yes,
that's nice.
I love that. And she had a very affirming grandmother. She always used to say this as well. You put 100 hearts on the table. Nobody's black, white, gay, straight, or whatever. It's 100 hearts on the table.
Yeah.
And that's another song we should write. 100 hearts on the table.
I know. We should.
Don't you guys be stealing our song.
And I thank God for the lighthouse. I owe my life to Him. Is this it? Yeah. For Jesus is the lighthouse, and from the rocks of sin He has shown the light around me, and that I could clearly see. when the full-grown man inside of us begins to speak with more boldness, because I obviously being a man and being of middle age, and finding what does it mean to me to be a man, and I think what kind of shoes do I want to fill, what do I want to say to people, and it does require one thing that I've never felt so powerfully before, which I think is going headlong into your fears like a warrior. You know,
get your paint on.
Yeah, and in doing so, knowing that kind of battle cry actually results in discovering that you're saying some things that people really want to hear on a different level than perhaps you realize before.
You're rescuing people on so many levels with your extreme honesty. I mean, the stories that in country music we do a lot of meet and greets, and we read our emails and we read our our tweets and stuff.
Yeah.
Since there's been some things that I'm like, I don't know how I even had a part of that, but that song did, and that level of honesty in that song had its journey to you.
Well, this is where I know that you'll totally relate to me, because one of the things I learned is, and this speaks to what you just said about sort of getting out of the way and allowing something bigger to come through. My mom always taught me as a kid on tour at 12 years old, singing at a different church every weekend growing up. She would always take my little hands and she'd have me take it out of my own will and throw it up. And so even to this day, I do that because I realize that the greatest art is being able to completely surrender to that power that is greater than yourself, whatever you call it, whoever it is. You know, it's just being getting out of the way. Well, we should sing that way.
We will. Let's sing it, man.
Okay.
I love that led in that we were talking about that song earlier. So
sorry to interrupt you. I'm curious now. Well, you inspired a transition, and I kind of want to know about what you think about country music, because you were talking about CMA Week.
Yeah.
Fans reaching out to you. Your connection with the fans are powerful.
Yes.
As mine is too. I've always been very hands-on.
Sure.
There are people who have been solely the reason that I've been inspired to continue to do what I do, is because they've came along when, in 2005, when I had my debut album and started carving my own little place as like a pioneer of the alt music movement.
Right.
In the early 2000s.
Yes.
How is
you said that? That's a wonderful. I don't usually like labels, but I like that label.
I should coin that.
You should coin that. Yes.
Pioneer of the out music movement. Yes. But truthfully, I mean, I didn't realize that was happening at the time, but there were so few of us. Mm-hmm. This is what's so interesting, I think, about our paths, is that after coming out and being rejected by 8 major record labels because of coming out, and then carving my own path, but then finding that LGBT media was supportive at the time, and then there was this thing called Out Music that started to build because of my participation in it. Eric Hyman, Ari Gold, the founding figures of what was going on in the early 2000s until we got the Out Music Awards, and things began to evolve to what it is today. And then you're coming from the other end, right, where coming with your own legacy, right? You've already established such a wonderful reputation for yourself in the country music industry. You've accomplished so much, and it's fun to kind of see you in the LGBT scene sometimes. It
still makes me a little nervous sometimes, to be honest with you. Yeah, because the very first Pride Festival I did was Los Angeles. I think they sandwiched me in between.
I remember that.
Meghan Trainor and somebody else. I'm like, these people are gonna hate me. And they come out there with my yodel, but they didn't. They were so supportive. They loved the country music show, and it was cool. I'm an interesting animal these days when it comes to what do I think about country music, because country music's my church. It really is. Okay. I grew up in a spirit-filled church, and country music has always been spirit-filled to me. So it's very interesting that I got to a place with my integrity and my being able to wake up and live in this body of bones, this body of blood, this body of skin, that I could be most authentic. I could be the most authentic man that I could be, is who I had to be. And I wasn't able to do that anymore. And our mutual dear friend Shelley Wright was somewhat my coach through this time.
Well, she was the first really in country music.
She was.
Listening.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was the
first to come out.
First to come out, and she said, she really respected where I was with trying to make my decision to do that, but I also understood as more and more things came out of my mouth that I would never be able to be as authentic as I wanted to be in my life if I didn't make the decision to let the world know that I was gay. And people say, well, it's not a big deal to come out anymore. Well, and only time I really get upset is people when they say something like that, because until you've taken a walk in someone's shoes that has gone to such lengths that have almost taken their lives, that it means that much to them. You can't say something like that. So I won't get all fired up. It's not about
This is one that you say you left on a voicemail for me on a day I needed it. All to Jesus I surrender. Second, take it.
all to Him I freely give. I will never love and trust Him in His presence. I will daily live.
Let me do a verse.
All to Jesus I surrender. Humbly at His feet.
Speaking of, you don't know what that experience is like until you walk a mile in my shoes.
Yes.
It's been interesting to me when I sometimes think, from someone who's a singer, songwriter, and actor who has spent a lot of my adult life in LA and New York, you forget that there are still so many people in the rest of the country who don't have the privilege, the opportunity to be in parts of the country or around affirming communities.
Yes.
And it is still extremely difficult. And I remember when I started doing pride festivals myself in 2006, 2007, I still have two faces in particular of young men who have been kicked out of their home, homeless essentially.
Yes.
Coming after a set of mine on a pride festival, telling me about them deliberating on whether or not to take their life, and finding an album, The Gospel According to Levi, which gave them an entirely new perspective of what it means to, redefine what God means to you.
Man, what it came down to me, because I was so okay with my God and myself, but what it came down to for me was I was willing to walk away from music.
From God?
Not God. No,
Okay.
I
never was that never negotiated.
That was never a thing for me, because in my worst moments, I always felt the presence of God. And sometimes just His hand on the top of my head, and all I was just like a little brat trying to move my head away from it. It came down. The decision to come out for me really boiled down to I was willing to walk away from ever stepping on stage singing country music again. I was willing to go work at Waffle House if I had to.
Yeah.
Just because I had to be whole, and it was very important. I was really lucky because it was the country music embraced me and my fans. I got a little bit of hate mail, and I answered all of those emails and stuff. Even some.
You answered them.
I did. Yeah, especially the hateful ones.
Oof, really?
Yeah, I needed to answer then delete. So that's
okay. Wow.
But it was really important to me for that 11-year-old kid like I used to be sitting at home watching the Country Music Awards.
Yeah.
I had role models, and then but what would life have been like for me if, as an 11-year-old kid, if there was a gay entertainer that was out in country music, which would have never happened back then. So whether I got to do it again or not, I needed to make that statement, and I was proud that I did.
Okay.
And I stood, and I still stand very strong in my decision that I am an out and proud gay man in country music. I am also a man in country music. I am also a songwriter in country music.
Right.
I came to a place last year where I stopped using any kind of labels, because one of the things that I say to these kids when I go out and talk to them, and I'm sure you have a strong message as well, but hey, a lot of times it's to the parents and not to the kid, but
yeah,
you want to come to town and be an artist here in Nashville, then you need to come to town and be an artist and be the best artist you can be, the best songwriter you can be, the best talent, the best businessman you can be, and the rest will fall in place. You need to lead with who you are and where you want your career to go.
It's true, and a lot of those young kids, they don't even care about this. It's a non-issue. I don't think that we realize at our age how much of a non-issue it really is to those who are coming behind us, because they're more interested in, like you said, can you write a great song? Can you
Absolutely,
be a great
especially
artist?
within the music industry. But there's also still a legion of men and women that are our age and older. I'm older than you, so I'm just going to say young man, middle-aged man.
You're very kind.
They're still lost out there.
Sure.
And they're still
Absolutely.
looking for encouragement within music and spirituality. And you're right. And the Southern kids, I find, we do, both of us do work with GLAD and HRC.
Yeah.
They both have Southern movement, Southern stories, where we get to go and talk to these kids and stuff, just to get those suicide rates down. And we can get very heavy into this, talking about kids on the street. It's an epidemic.
I gotta say, as someone who has spent so many years in LGBT media and who has been a part of these organizations, it's so easy to pat ourselves on the back sometimes with our A-list gays in the LA and New York, and we get to have our wonderful raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for our organization, and forget that just last week in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, there was a guy who just wanted to be a waiter at a restaurant who was fired when the owners found out that he was gay. There is a wonderful couple who's gone to a church that I've been attending since I moved back to Knoxville 2 weeks ago, who, after being baptized and bringing their family to the church and celebrating with those members, a very loving congregation, was denied membership because of being gay. Yeah. So it's all well and good to be a part of the backstroke.
And my wonderful friend in Chattanooga, Anna, who is a pastor, she just got fired. She's a straight affirming pastor. She just got fired from her job for marrying a gay couple.
Yeah, and see,
church.
these are the things that are so important for us to be aware of. I mean, really, truly. I don't relate. I don't profess to be an activist. I've never really been but I also know
I'm an artivist. That's what I call myself.
That's a good term. That's good term.
I my activizing through music.
Yeah, that's good. That's
a new word. I don't know if that's a real word.
It works. It works. But I think the only thing that gets me talking is when I feel like someone is being denied the freedom to have a relationship with God, based on some sort of prejudice. Because I'm not even going to argue with you. If you think it's a sin, well, good for you, whatever. But the ground is level at the foot of the cross.
The ground is level at the foot of the
absolutely.
cross.
You want to sing that? Sing we're going to song. The ground is level at the foot of the cross. But it's true. It's knowing that regardless of who you are, you can't teach someone that they are less than in the eyes of God. You can't bring that, because it is the very relationship that I believe repairs and sustains the human spirit. And that's the thing that always, that's where I tip over into a little bit of activism, because you just can't tell a kid they can't have a relationship with God.
Well, I won't go biblical with a lot of people because I'm knowledgeable enough that, I know that you're going to get to that place where somebody thinks they got to win. They're, and it could just go on and on and on, and then, all of a sudden everybody's deleting their friends from Facebook.
Oh, well, that's
so ridiculous.
Real popular. I got
so
tell you a little
ridiculous.
story about growing up cherry picking in my town, because in my home this was really great. So I always used to spend way too much time getting ready for school growing up, and I think it's because I just really wanted to perfect that Ricky Schroeder hair from Silver Spoons. So I'd spend all the time in the world in the bathroom. My dad knew I spent so much time reading the Bible. I mean, I remember making a pact with God on September 12th, 1988, that I would spend 3 hours with God every single day. And I can count on one hand the days I missed until August of 1992.
Wow.
And so he knew that I was very devoted to reading the scriptures and praying. And he comes in one day after I'm making the bus wait for me to go to school, and he says, "Will you read that Bible enough? You should know that Bible verse by now, honor your father and mother." Well, I put down that can of Aquanet.
Yes, you did.
And I looked at him and I said, "Well, Daddy, you should know that the very next verse says, 'Fathers, provoke not your children to wrath.'" So I know all about that cherry picking.
It could go on and on, but I love that you did that with your dad. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
He had to giggle about that a little bit. Surely he did. What it boils down to me when I do get into these conversations is this: you're not ever going to tell me when I'm standing in my kitchen and the Holy Spirit is moving through me, and I bow on my knees and cry holy, and that's running through me like electricity, that I am broken, that I am not a man on the level with God, that my beliefs on the level with God. That feeling, you can't teach it, and you can't take it away. It's there. And it's there to be accessed always. So
you're going to get me happy in the Lord.
Well, so I don't try to win arguments about that, because there is no argument to win. It's just it is not there to win or lose. It is there for everyone to feel.
I have to convince anybody.
No, you don't. But for me, some of these stubborn old folks that you just they want to stand on this one Bible verse. That I just want to take them out in the yard and put it on a 2x4 and beat them with it. Excuse me. That's how I feel about it. Not that.
Say, ain't you eat shrimp? Because that's an abomination too. Do you wear mixed fabrics? But that's an abomination.
I just said the 2x4 analogy because my grandma always used to say.
I love that 2x4.
Beat you with that 2x4, boy. Yes, but don't stand on a piece of wood, because it's going to eventually rot. You're going to fall off. So it's not the cross. Only one man was on the cross. So, we could do this all day long.
I know, we got to move on to some music, I know.
But the point for me is, we have a responsibility as artists, and I know you take this so seriously, that we get the opportunity that people can feel what we feel through our talent, through our voices, through our songwriting. What comes out of this mouth, onto that microphone, onto that camera is important. It's going to take it very seriously. Person's listening, or you got 180 million Instagram followers, that people are interested in what you're saying musically, and I say what I say musically through the trials and errors of my life, and that makes music special for me now, no matter what genre it is, country music, what.
Well, I love that you say that, because I feel like I'm learning more and more to say the hardest things in a lyric, and spend a little less time preaching and standing with a sign or shaking my fist or whatever the case may be, and learning that I can say it in the music, and then I can hold myself in strength and silence when I'm not singing my lyric. And maybe that's because I've been in this whole movement of me, like coming home to Tennessee, coming home to music that I love the most. A lot of it has been coming home to the people that has inspired me the most. Like Dolly Parton's from my neck of the woods. And so when you see the way that she has always reserved her message to her music. And she's just been an entertainer. And I think there's something really special about that.
There is. And you never want Dolly to raise that fingernail at you. Let's keep those on the guitar.
Haven't you always thought it's real interesting how she is just so good at entertaining and letting her music be the message.
Absolutely.
And staying sort of out of the Reba as well.
She's great. And there have been timeless artists down through time. And Loretta Lynn is one of them as well. Who has just conquered hard subjects in music. And those people are my heroes. And I love some of the new artists today that are just really fearless right there, and they rise above all the clutter.
I learned that the most with this new album. I'm gonna shift to the new album that I'm real excited about sharing with my Patreon patrons. it's the first time that I've delved into that kind of vulnerability and let the music say it rather than feeling I had to wrap some sort of important narrative around it. But it's also, with covers like Stranger in My House from Ronnie Millsap.
Yes.
I wanted to really go back to the men who have influenced me growing up from the world of country music with Ronnie Millsap. Phil Vassar.
Yeah.
Love what he's done.
Man.
What a great writer. Of course, Jerry Lee Lewis, which turned out pretty good for me.
Yes, it did.
And even Mickey Gilley. I mean, but the great thing is, that is, there's only a few. There's only a handful of piano men.
Girl, Terry Gibbs. Remember Terry Gibbs?
Yeah.
Somebody's knocking.
Should I let him in?
Yeah.
Lord, it's the devil.
Would you look at him?
Oh, I forgot about her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's always been a sort of a soulfulness to it too, which I kind of love about the Chris Stapleton album, where these guys are kind of sitting outside of what maybe radio's playing and saying, I want to bring what, something that's more identifiable as me in there. What do you think about the state of country music today? Because it's so different. I mean, being back in Tennessee now for the first time in a few years, I'm just sitting here soaking it all up, and I have the opportunity to ask you what you think. So
speaking of the Queen, Reba McEntire called me into her office a long time ago, and she told me if I wanted to sustain a career in country music, I would always have to be willing to reinvent myself. And that doesn't mean that you have to change the core of who you are in music. You just got to pay attention to what's going on around you. Because I'm always going to be Ty Herndon when I sing.
Right.
But it may be like on House on Fire. There was a lot of new melodies that I'd never sung before. I just pushed my comfort level in reinventing in the studio and working with different chords and different guitars. I really never understood completely because I thought, oh well, great, I just got to go out and get my new haircut and some color.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with that, man. You got to stay. I'm trying to be cool most days. Anyhow, but
I mean, how do you do that? Because 2005 was my debut album, and there's always the question of reinventing and keeping yourself new. And I feel like I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still figuring it out. I'm still not satisfied where this new album's going to land because I'm already like 2 years ahead where I know that I want to be living. How do you, especially listening to House of Fire on the way here, it's very clear that it was informed by the sound of today too.
Sure.
In a very good way. I mean, because you're right, the melodies were different from right about now, and they wrap well around your voice. Answer your own question with what informs you about your redefining as the years go by? Because we've both been in this for a little while.
I've got some great people around me. I'll just say that. Looking around the room, you've got some great people around you.
Okay.
We have just people that'll tell us the truth. Working with new engineers, working with new producers,
right?
And with that comes new ideas and just being open to that. And then I go back to the well always. I always go back to one of the guys that have given me a hit record, and I write with them. And then like my buddy D. Vincent Williams, he works with a lot of brand new songwriters, and I go and sit down and with a room with two guys that have never gotten a cut, and say, if this is great, you're gonna have a cut. And watch the energy of how that little bit of hunger, and I really want to do this. That just really energizes me to make me be the best writer that I can be. And so I think what has really changed in Nashville, although there's an element of the good old boy network still here, there's also a lot of LGBT people in places of power here now as well. A lot of producers, songwriters.
Well, with our buddy Shane, I mean, that's changing.
Shane
on a very fundamental level, as much as the success as he's had.
Songwriters love label heads, I'm hoping. I did an interview with Huffington Post the day before yesterday, and it said, "Will there be an out gay country artist on country radio soon?" And my answer is no. It's not going to be soon. I certainly hope it is, but for me, what I see in that artist is you're going to hear that artist and absolutely love that artist, and you're going to find out that artist is gay. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's the lead story. That's just where I believe it's going to come from, is going to happen.
Yeah.
But I don't have a problem with the state of country music today. I mean, I think there's a lot of great talent out there.
Yeah.
What I have a problem with is probably the closed closedness of country radio.
The narrow scope of what they're willing to support. Yeah, for sure.
But I do see that like a balloon at a birthday party that's about to pop. So
I think people are getting tired of it.
Yeah, they get tired of it. So, but you know, people can become celebrities and a very big success with their lives and music anyway.
Yeah.
Today. So, but here in Nashville, you know, it is still a little bit traditional when it comes to that. So, I've got 2 new albums coming this year, and I don't know that I'll service a damn thing to radio.
It doesn't matter, Chris Stapleton.
Doesn't matter. So
you know,
the fans are going to get to the music.
There are some really great success stories that have nothing to do with country radio.
Yes.
I'm on this one. I'm just going to keep
Mansions bright, still the one across the sea,
right.
where loved ones away.
Yes.
And crowns are given.
We're all vessels.
The hills of home start calling me.
You know this. Sing the chorus.
I'll take my flight.
Let's merge these two worlds. We've talked a lot about a lot of the messages we feel like is important for some of the youth coming up behind us in LGBT. But also we talked about Nashville and country music. So I love that the two worlds come together for the concert for Love and Acceptance.
Oh,
see
thank
how
you.
I worked my way into
You
that?
did. That was very good.
Yeah.
That was very good, Oprah.
Tell our people about the concert for Love and Acceptance. This year it's like June 7th.
It's June 7th during CMA Music Fest
at
the
Wild Horse Saloon.
Our
Okay.
second year at the Wild Horse.
And Cody
Allen is
our
hosting.
host. That's fantastic.
Yes, absolutely.
What artists do you have this year?
Well, I'm not allowed to say currently.
Oh, okay.
But
You're probably still working on it too.
We're
Just
still
some
working
degree.
on it, but I'll say a couple.
You don't have to.
We have Terry Clark this
Okay,
year, which
fantastic.
I'll let that cat out of the bag.
Okay.
Love her. And then we're going to have 10 to 11 artists this year and some actors. We've got some Hollywood coming in
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
And we might, for the first time this year, have a few production numbers, which we've never had.
That sounds like Broadway to me,
kind of
boy.
fun, man.
Don't you bring that
Well,
Broadway
I
over
work
here to
with
Tennessee.
Dance Network now here in town. You know, I do some stuff for Disney and stuff, so it's gonna be kind of just branching out. Anyhow,
That's
you don't
good.
want to see me dance. It's
I want to see you
terrible.
in tap shoes.
Thank you for bringing that up. Not the tap shoes.
Well, no, but I
Concert
think it's a
Love
wonderful thing. I mean, isn't
It's been
this
wonderful to-
you
to
started
marry
this, right? And so
Yes.
this is the first thing of its kind.
Well, my passion is at-risk youth in on this planet.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so we've been able to raise a good amount of money for the kids, and we have some precious kids out there, and a lot of them are on the streets, and we're hoping, and by 2020 to have kind of an LGBT halfway house
Okay.
here to get some of these
Okay.
homeless kids off the street. And
Uh-huh.
I'm not talking 5 rooms. You know, I dream big. You know,
Good.
I want to buy the Hyatt Regency. You know, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to do a pledge campaign for that. But enough about all
Do we
that.
have a URL?
We got a URL
already
that's
set up
coming
at Pledge Music.
Yes, so just to continue to support the youth, you guys. But
Yeah.
we're really here because I've been such a fan for a long time, and
You're very sweet.
since that Holy Spirit moment with Southern Baptist Sissies, and your journey is important, and I love that this record is going to be such an imprint of you, and such a testament of truth. So, did you find that your writing has been intense for this? Because I know you're diving into some divorce stuff. You're diving into some of your stuff you haven't talked about before. So,
yeah. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to
Talk
do
Child.
this interview. Thank you for asking. One of the reasons I wanted to do this interview with you is because looking back on the relationship that I just spent the last 2 years writing about,
yes.
there was one album that was a mainstay for me, which was your album Right About Now.
Wow.
And I remember walking.
You could sing that song. You should go ahead and record
Oh,
that.
it's beautiful.
You got that head voice
I mean,
thing.
it's just
Pretty great.
beautiful. I just remember walking down Melrose Avenue, listening to that album, and the album it has its ups, its downs, and I feel like I can define the last year or two of my relationship by certain songs. It was just a very interesting experience for me, and of course, knowing you from way back when, I just thought it was interesting.
Just had a little vision of you. One of those days when we just weren't feeling your best. There's a little song on that record called "Pray for Me."
Yeah.
That saved my butt so many times. And I'm not a big guy that goes back and listens to my own music.
Yeah.
But that song
Yeah.
was important.
Yeah.
But
I've
there were
called
some
you
great
to pray 2 years ago or so. I've had to reach out and have that
absolutely,
call
my
with you
friend.
once, twice.
So you're having, those are some moments on that record, and I feel like you're about to unleash some really incredible moments of your own with this new music.
It's uncharted territory for me in the fact that I've brought my roots into it.
Yes.
There is something so contagious about East Tennessee and the Appalachian Mountains and being back home that as I was beginning to finish the album, I was like, you got to lay on some pedal steel. You got to go get some mandolins for me.
Did.
Because I also always know that little tear in my voice, it was also from a production standpoint very important for me to find the instruments that also have that tear in my voice.
Yeah.
And there's two instruments that will always be compatible, I understand now, with my voice, which is the pedal steel and the mandolin.
Yeah.
It just created a nice warmth that I didn't anticipate. And then as I began to add on songs like the George Strait cover, Nobody in His Right Mind, and Ronnie Millsap, it was a huge idol of mine growing up. Matter of fact, I actually got to see Ronnie Millsap live again last year with my mom at the Tennessee Theater, and at 81 I think, he still sings every one of those notes just like he used to.
Smoking Mountain Rain keeps on falling.
And he's still pitch perfect.
Yeah.
He's insane.
It's incredible.
He's insane. But like, I had to pay homage to the men that have sort of made me
the singer you are today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but on a personal level, which I think is what you're trying to get at, is this goes back to prior to getting sober, to the mess of a marriage where we were both using, and it was an abusive relationship, emotionally, physically, and brave a lot of demons. I did this Kickstarter campaign in 2015, and a lot of my patrons here are also Kickstarter backers, and I'm so grateful to them for having the patience with this process, because there were times when I felt extremely triggered and dark and trying to be in places that were very uncomfortable for me. That it's easy to shut off when you get your game face on and you say, I'm sober now, I'm making right choices, but to go back and then try to articulate them poetically by reliving them, Lord, it's painful.
It is.
It's its own kind of pain.
It's a room, and you got to walk into it.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but when I'm writing and I want to go somewhere that painful, there are things in there that I've forgotten about, and it opens a whole other can of worms that I learned something about myself that I was afraid of.
Yeah.
So, and that's what, guys, this is what music does for us. And we write this stuff, and you guys have the opportunity to go, wow, that happened to me. I mean, it might not be the perfect story that you're telling, but people get their own lives in our stories. Yeah. And I'm super excited to hear what you're gonna write about and sing. And
to me, the crux of it was forgiveness, which I think is we were actually talking about that on the way over here. That the cornerstone of spirituality so often is forgiveness. And so I named the album "Liberated" because the title song is "Liberate You," which for me is, if I could liberate you, maybe I would be liberated too. That it's not really serving anybody.
Right.
For me to hold on to this, you've moved on, you're not spending one night thinking about me, why am I shriveling up in such anger?
Wow.
And that was probably the hardest song to write, because in all these years I haven't had I haven't known how to forgive. To forgive. And I think honestly it hasn't been in the last few months that I've been able to look back and say, okay, that was a 5-year marriage that was incredibly volatile, incredibly painful, but I understand that we're all sick.
We are.
And that grace is there for him as it is for me.
Yes. Forgiveness is... Oh my gosh, man! I'm so happy for you that you're walking into that room because it is.
Well, I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
I don't
but
like it.
still
Doesn't
have to
feel
do it.
good.
And you know, I know you're getting a little emotional right now.
Yeah.
You know I'm Southern. If you start that, I'm going. So you know it's true.
Yes. Yeah.
But the flip side of that, it's been so important for me. It's been a really incredible part of my journey is to forgive myself. Because that was I was so easily would forgive others to my detriment. And
Well, how mighty Southern of you.
how mighty Southern.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have learned, I've learned a lot about forgiveness in the last 4 years, and it's very
It's
powerful.
amazing. Yeah.
It is, and the music that you're writing right now is so important. And
Well, I hope so. I mean, as a songwriter, you also
Yeah.
know the challenges of how do we take what's so specific to us and say it in a way that we know that the housewife, 500 miles away and
standing in her kitchen.
is going to be able to relate to what we're saying because
Yeah.
she just got out of the same kind of marriage.
Yeah.
too.
Or
Or he.
whatever
Or
these
he.
days, man. It's just crazy. Well, congratulations on being so open and
Well, thank you.
being
Thank
so
you.
freaking talented.
Thank you.
You're making me sick.
Well, thanks. I'm humbled to have you. So, yeah.
And I hope that you will call me to do a little harmony on something
Absolutely.
at some point.
There's a little duet on this album that we have to do a special, presentation, some sort of benefit or something. We might have to. I've tried to think of any reason to rope you into singing with me.
Okay.
It's fine with me.
Well, the answer is yes.
Okay.
Let's wrap it. Go sing.
Thank you for doing
I
this.
love you, my
seriously.
friend.
It means a
I
lot.
truly
Thank
do.
you.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. That's all I got. So,
You can say, I sit and listen to you play all day, and then let's do that.